And growing up in Detroit, you know, I just hate that every year my dad pumpkin pie has to be nasty and horrible because it's accompanied with a Lions loss. They'll come out and they'll play with a lot of emotion. They'll have Eminem, it used to be Aretha Franklin, and it'll be a lot of energy. It'll come out well, but ultimately Khalil Mack will get some type of strip fumble. And Trubisky showed a little bit more moxie running the football, not throwing it last week.
So we both got the Bears this afternoon on Fox.
Sorry, Dad. I apologize. Pie's going to be horrible again.
All right, before the Bears and Lions kick off today, download the Fox Sports Super 6 app. Play for free for a chance to win $25,000 of Terry Bradshaw's well-earned money. All right, we'll get to LeBron and AD in a second. But for Sixers and Kings, Joel Embiid following up a 0-point night with a nice dunk over Sean Holmes with ease.
Bounce back after having that over that game the other day. Yep. I mean, he's one of the most talented big men in the league, and when he's right, but you just worry about him playing back-to-backs, being able to play consistent games, but, you know, he's some special talent, and I like when he's not selling for the three-point shot, being aggressive, taking it to the Rizak.
And booming on his former teammate, Rashawn Holmes.
Rizak, of course. Hornets and Pistons, Devontae Graham lobbing one up for Malik Monk.
Malik Monk's the highlight here, but shout out to Devontae Graham. Anyone that watched him at the University of Kansas thought, all right, he might be the 9th or 10th man on an NBA team one year. He is having a better season this year than I ever thought he could in his NBA career. Malik Monk, obviously, first-round pick from a couple of years ago. Nice play by him.
Bulls and Warriors, Zach LaVine cocking it back to finish the slam over Willie Cauley-Stein.
Great play by LaVine. Shout out to the Warriors getting their just 4th win of the year. A costly win for the Warriors. Steve Kerr so frustrated during the game, broke a clipboard, cut his hand open. Yeah, true story, Jenna Wolf. You'd be out a month. Steve Kerr coached the rest of the game.
I had nothing. How did I get run over? I had nothing to do with that.
Warriors worse than the Knicks. Whoever thought this day would come.
Lakers and Pelicans. LeBron James driving, delivering. That's a nice slam by him. This took a lot of effort.
Congratulations on 33,000 points. I mean, come on. This guy's just a model of consistency. He's a brick house. I mean, he's a guy that you could always count. No load management is going on with him.
Load management with LeBron, and they needed every last one of his points last night. They were down 15 in this basketball game that we're going to talk about right now.
Here we go. Sticking with that Laker team. Anthony Davis called his return to New Orleans the game of the year for him. Then he went out and played his game of the year. Carried the Lakers with a season-high 41 points to go along with 9 rebounds. LeBron, not too shabby. A cool 29, 5, and 11 for the King. As you mentioned, Bart, he joined Kobe, Karl Malone, and Kareem as the only members of the 33,000-point club. Nick, let's start with the AD angle. What did you make of his return last night?
Well, they almost spoiled it by trying to focus on it so much. The Lakers were focused on one thing in the first 3 quarters of this game. Not defense, certainly not defense in the first half, and really not until the end of the 3rd quarter, and not on running their offense. They were focused on Anthony Davis getting as many points and touches as possible in an arena where he was being booed every time he touched the ball. He was booed through introductions, and they were amazingly able to accomplish both goals. They had a great 4th quarter where they were able to win the game, and Anthony Davis was great. I mean, what do you have? 41 points to go along with 9 rebounds. He got to the line, not early, but got to the line late in the game.
Last 5 seconds.
And the last 5 seconds,
basically.
exactly
3 or
right.
4 from the line.
He was in the last, exactly right. 3 or 4 of the line to ice the game, including a steal to ice the game critically late after he had missed 1 free throw. So Anthony Davis was great, and Anthony Davis hadn't had a monster game since his 40-20 game a few weeks ago. He had played really well, but not a monster 40-plus point night. So I would say all of the Lakers' goals were accomplished yesterday evening.
Well, they're still trying to learn how to play with each other, and I like the fact that Anthony Davis, the young stallion, can go ahead and lead the team, and then LeBron comes in and decides to be great when needed, because you know that it's going to come down in the playoffs. LeBron's going to have to be rested. He doesn't do the load management plan 37 minutes yesterday, but you know that it's a battle of attrition. You know that the elephant in the room is that they're going to play it with the Clippers. It's going to be important to see if a 3rd team can kind of get in this race, because we know it's between the 2 LA teams. It's going to be interesting to see if a team like the Houston Rockets go get Iguodala to try and be able to match up and get some more defense, but they're above the rest of the teams in the Western Conference.
Well, one other listen, Lakers got to be careful now in this regard. They have played with they are each game ratcheting down the minimum required attention to detail and effort in order to get a win.
Yeah.
They stole a win against Memphis. The game against OKC, they are basically going full throttle for moments, and that's been enough. They've had 4 games this year where they're down 15 points. They're 4-0 in those 4 games. The best start to a season in those circumstances in almost 15 years. And yesterday's game mattered to them because of the Anthony Davis part, and they still didn't pay any attention to the defensive side of the ball until late in the 3rd quarter.
But isn't this what we talk about with sustainability? I mean, how many games can we see LeBron James play both sides as hard as he does on defense as on offense? How many games can we really see them come out so hard and have LeBron play every single game?
But I guess, these are 2 separate things. One is, I would argue they didn't come out hard at all. I would think they were coasting for 3 quarters.
It's because they came out so strong.
I think it's because they've had a soft schedule and because they haven't been challenged in a few weeks. And they have thus far been proven right. Thus far, they have been proven, okay, we'll turn it on for 6 minutes, late in the 3rd, early in the 4th, and that will be enough. The question about, you are much more concerned about LeBron's sustainability than I am.
Right.
LeBron is the most durable athlete we have ever seen.
Age is undefeated.
Okay, but he's in year 17, but he's not even, he turns 35 in a month. He's not a 40-year-old athlete. And he is a guy who is the most rested he has been at any point in his career because of no postseason last year. So, listen, the reason I mentioned it, the Lakers are going to lose to a bad team coming up because there's going to be a team where they try this against and then they hit a bunch of threes in the 4th quarter, they being the opposition, and they lose. But right now, the last few games, they've been coasting early, turning it on late.
All right, let's talk about how impressive, speaking of LeBron, 33,000 points. What did you make of how impressive his feat was last night?
I mean, just a model of consistency. You can't think of one year with LeBron where his production dropped. Now, you see that maybe he's saving some on the defensive side of the ball, but he's earned that right. I think that his ability to make his teammates around him better puts him on the Mount Rushmore. And, I mean, the conversation continues to get closer and closer about who's the best player to ever put on a pair of shorts between him and Michael Jordan. The difference is he needs a couple more titles. I think a championship in Los Angeles submits his place as basketball royalty and arguably the best player to ever play.
Well, and this is just another, it's not the 33,000 points. We knew he was going to get that. And just like we know he's going to pass Kobe, eventually Karl Malone and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he's going to finish as the all-time leading scorer, 3rd all-time in assists, more All-NBA teams than anybody, more All-Star games than anybody, more games, more minutes. He already has every single playoff record, points, assists, steals, all of it. But it is things like this that when people start evaluating the greatest players ever, like when we evaluate Wilt versus Russell, none of us saw it. And so you basically just have to look in the record books. You have to read what people were saying in real time and make your evaluation from there. Folks that didn't see LeBron or Michael 50 years from now, when they look at the record books, they're going to say, how was this ever a discussion? LeBron James didn't just become the 4th player ever to 33,000 points yesterday. He, of course, became the youngest player to 33,000 points. He has been the youngest player for every 1,000-point mark the NBA has. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, all the way up to 33,000. The youngest guy to do it was LeBron. He'll be the youngest 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Then he'll be the first to 39,000 and the only person ever to hit 40. And it just adds to the list. And if and when, and I think it's more win than if, he wins a championship with the Lakers, he'll, of course, be the first guy to ever win titles with 3 different teams as the best player on 3 different teams. Like, it's just another notch in the resume of a guy who I think it will not even be a debate when it's all said and done who the greatest player of all time is.
Michael Jordan. Because you can only revolutionize a sport, globalize a sport once, and that matters. We watched Muhammad Ali do it with boxing. We watched Michael Jordan globalize the game in basketball, and that matters in the era in which he played in. Not saying that LeBron couldn't play in that era, but the degree of difficulty was a lot harder because you had more good teams than you have today. Right now, the league is top-heavy.
Most important players, the most marketable players, most revolutionary players. I don't know that LeBron's any of those things. And but Steph Curry by the way, has been a revolutionary player as far as the way he's changed the game. They changed the rules for Wilt. They changed them again for Kareem. Jordan changed the way sports marketing worked, sports apparel worked. It really, after Magic and Bird, all of that matters as far as maybe his overall icon status. But as far as the greatest player, the most effective basketball player ever, it's clearly the guy we're still able to watch every night or every couple nights.
If Jeffrey,
when it's all said and done, nobody's going to be arguing against
I'm sorry, if Jeffrey didn't spend a couple of years in college, and if Jeffrey didn't go play baseball,
well, it's interesting.
We know those numbers would be totally
Well, it's interesting because he didn't have to go to college. Most Malone didn't. And yet, when he first came into the league, so if the whole argument is, if he hadn't gone to Carolina, he would have all these records, well, then his rookie year, he would have come in averaging 27 because his rookie year was LeBron's 4th year, but he didn't. Like, this whole, well, these other guys didn't